Greetings, Earthlings. I'm here with a quick video, and the topic of this video is talking to yourself. Why you should talk to yourself. Well, number one, you should talk to yourself to build a healthy relationship with your own self, mind, body, and soul. Right? I talk to myself because I get to have conversations with my higher self, my higher mind, right? Reasoning things out, logically, not overthinking, no. Not overthinking. This is not about overthinking and being obsessed. This is about having a discussion, asking yourself questions. Why do you feel that way? Why did you say that? Getting deep inside yourself, right? This is what you would pay someone $300 an hour to do. That's what they do. Well, why do you feel that way? Why did you say that? Well, why would you pay someone $300 an hour when you could just do it for yourself? Schedule regular one-on-one conversation times with yourself. Say, hey, every Thursday, every Friday, or every day, you go for a walk and we talk out loud as I'm talking right now, and we say the things to ourselves that we need to say, right? And it's not just conversations about who, what, when, where, and why. These conversations help us to sort out friendships, relationships, business. When we do this, we solidify our relationship to ourselves, with ourselves. And this is very important because I believe in today's world, a lot of people are looking for someone outside of themselves to fill a void, right? They want someone to come in and take care of them, say all the things, do all the things that they feel should be said and done. However, they don't even know what that is, and it looks different. But when you begin to talk to yourself and have these great conversations with yourself about your needs, things that are changing in your life, and your friendships and different things like that, your pets, your car, your mortgage payments, whatever, all these things, you're like, why am I doing this? Do I need that? You start having these conversations and getting answers, talking to yourself like I'm talking to myself right now. And I guarantee you, people, it's not what you think, right? Now, back in the day, and currently, people like to say that having conversations with oneself, talking to oneself, means you're crazy or something like that. But it's actually quite the opposite. If you can have a good conversation with yourself and enjoy your own company, you're highly intelligent, a person of great reason, of wisdom, because you're able to process your own thoughts and emotions in a healthy way before bringing them to the discussion table, before talking it out with other people, right? Not everybody has your best interest at heart. Often we speak to others before we even talk to ourselves. We have a problem, and the first thing to do is pick up our phone to call somebody to ask them for advice or help. And sometimes that advice or help may or may not be for us. A lot of times it's not, right? But it's because it's what they would do. It's good for them. And sometimes the thoughts that people have towards you are not what you think they are, right? Like, you're living your dreams. You're following a path from your heart that you feel that has come from Source, God, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of people around you are not going to be pleased with this. You go talk to them for advice and they'll try to tell you, don't do it. You should be more reasonable. You should go and do this and that and the other, and put your needs, your desires, your goal, the thing that God is speaking to your heart about, on the back burner, right? And what happens is we betray our own selves for the sake of other people's acceptance of us. We don't have a conversation with ourselves. We tell somebody else, they tell us, and then we speak inwardly in our mind what that person has spoken over us. And that is a conversation in our head that we're having. Don't be yourself. Go do this. Don't follow your inner guidance. Go do what they said, because what they said is wiser and better for you, because it works for them. I'm not saying you shouldn't consult with people. I'm not saying that your friends are all bad. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that having a conversation with yourself is the beginning of not only developing a good relationship with yourself, but also developing good relationships with others. Because now you'll think a lot more clearly. You'll have a clear mind too to listen to others when they are speaking. So you're not responding from your own bias. You're able to hear them because now you even respect other people as whole beings and not as people that you must control or have some sort of dialogue with that's against who they truly are. When somebody tells you who they are, you will be way more apt to believe them rather than trying to make them, in your mind, well, even though they're doing all of these cat-like things, I still think they look like a dog or a duck or whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get where I'm coming from? Right? When we process our own selves as what we are, right? I am a eagle person and I do eagle shit. I'm out flying and soaring and being an eagle. And here comes some rat person. Should be like a rat. Do what rats do. Bitch, I'm not a rat. So I'm not going to do what rat people do. Right? In fact, I eat rats. That sounded crazy, didn't it? But for reals, right? And so eagle mind gets in the eagle mind. Eagle mind speaks to eagle mind as eagle mind speaks. So now when you're talking to rat people, dog people, cat people, or whatever other kind of people there are, and having conversations with them, you're looking at a whole being, cat person, and you're understanding cat people and cat mentality. You're not trying to make the cat person think like an eagle, because they're not. But you're able to relate to them and process work, because we all live here on this earth together, right? We build buildings together. We cook food together at restaurants that we work at. We work in offices together. We sit at conference room tables together with all these different creature type beings. And then we get mad because we're unable to understand who it is that is sitting in front of us, because we don't even understand ourselves, right? And then we can have patience. We can have focus and clarity in our words, compassion, and we can work together with our skills in the best way we can, right? When you learn to communicate with yourself, when you learn to process your inner dialogue, having a conversation with yourself about you, about your feelings, your desires, your emotions. And this is why I talk to myself, because it helps me understand me. So now when I'm with people, I have way better time with them, because now I know who I am and who I'm not. And when people try to say, hey, you should do this, I can say, no, because that's not who I am. Nope, I already know that is not for me, right? It's different. Of course, there will be things you'll want to try. You'll say, yes, that sounds just like me. But you'll also recognize who those thoughts are coming from, who these people are, and what it is in relation to you, how it relates to your life, your body, your mind, your soul, all the things around you. Imagine dating and knowing fully who you are. Imagine going out to socialize and having this full experience with yourself, knowing, feeling alive, feeling completely healthy, because you're able to talk to yourself, have discussions, full out, ask questions, get answers, right? Oh, and then let's talk about the higher self conversation, or the automatic writing of conversations, right? So I do this thing called automatic writing from time to time. And I also have automatic talk conversations where the God shows up and it speaks through me. Now, I record my conversations, my inner dialogues. I record these things out loud, and I do it while I'm walking because I love walking. Walking is the best way for me to process my time and just be able to communicate with myself in the best way possible. So I record these conversations, and when I go back to listen to them sometimes, I'm just like, wow, that word that was said, I don't know where it came from, but it was so good. It filled me up again and again and again after the fact, right? That day and days after, months after, I could go back to that recording and say, holy cow, wow, right? You get fed from God, from higher source, giving you a word through your own mouth, right? Because we are gods. We are gods, right? People want to tell us that we're nothing, that we're worms, that we're just, no, we're not. God is in us, working through us and speaking through us, right? So why wouldn't we be able to give a word to ourselves with clarity? It doesn't mean that we always will listen. Sometimes we are very resistant to that God higher self within. But speaking it out loud gives us an opportunity to process that and look back and say, I saw how I self-sabotaged myself in that moment by not giving into the higher source, giving into the conversation from source about the best way to go about things, because my emotions took over and I wasn't able to allow myself the dignity of clarifying that and moving it out of the way, etc., etc. So this little talk has been about talking to yourself, the importance of verbal dialogue with oneself out loud, writing in a journal, also good, talking to yourself, having a conversation with yourself, speaking clearly and processing. Ask yourself questions about how you feel. Ask yourself. The more we do this with ourselves individually, when we talk to other people, the less apt we are to allow people to take advantage of us, to work over us in business, to allow society to dictate our inner, what's the word I'm looking for? Judgment, right? Like, we're no longer going to just go along with things and say, oh yeah, sure, this is sure, we'll do this, even though you know in your heart that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Imagine that a lot of the people in the White House and other places, the military establishments and everything else, if they had inner dialogue, there's a lot less things that they would say yes to, because they would say, hey, you know what, I don't have to do this. Imagine 100,000 members of a military going against the status quo because they know in their hearts, each individual person, that what their action that they're about to do is wrong and it's not for the greater good. What could one general do against 100,000 men and women saying no? Not a goddamn thing. Right? What could any government do to millions of people who are able to get inside themselves, have a discourse about what is good and bad, and then when the thing goes down and people start acting crazy, 1 million people can stand up and say no? What president, what army could stop them? Nope. No, none could. There'd be way more of them than there are of the, it couldn't happen. And this is the power of knowing thyself, getting inside the body, getting inside the mind, the spirit of yourself, reaching that with inner dialogue, talking to yourself, having conversations. You are no longer dependent on anyone else for your needs, your wisdom, right? It doesn't mean you don't have conversations with other people, but I can tell you what, there will be a whole lot more fruitful conversations, right? Because now, when we speak full, we speak of substance. We're not just running our mouths and just talking shit. We speak of substance. We are clear-minded, clear-headed, focused. Our thoughts are clear. We know exactly what we want to say, how we want to say it, because we've processed it within ourselves, inner deep knowing, right? No more just running off at the mouth. No more just saying whatever just because. Now we know. Our relationships will be better. Our jobs, our career, everything will be better because now we know ourselves. We are communicated with ourselves, our higher selves, our higher beings. Am I making sense to you? Are you hearing me out there? It is important to talk to yourself. It is important to have conversations with yourself. And it sounds like, of course I talk to myself. Do you really? Well, I hear a lot of people say that they don't talk to themselves, right? A lot of people are obsessive with themselves. They overthink, and their mind is scattered, and they're running to and fro. Stop, take a breath, and say, why do I feel the way I feel right now? Why did what this person said to me hurt my feelings? Were they wrong? Am I right? Right? That is where we need to get within ourselves. That is where we need to get within ourselves. We need to get to the place where we're not afraid to ask ourselves hard questions and answer the questions. Well, I said this because, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Exactly. I did this because, wait a minute, why did I do that? I wasn't even thinking. And when you start having these kind of conversations with yourself, you start realizing this, you'll stop doing it as much. You'll become very clear, very whole, very focused. And then you'll be able to recognize these attitudes and characteristics in other people. You'll be able to look at others and say, they're doing that thing. I don't need to be communicating with them, or I don't need to be trying to fix them if they're not willing to see it within themselves, right? We stay out of trouble when we have inner dialogue, when we talk to ourselves. We stay out of trouble. We stay out of relationships that are not good for us. We don't take jobs that aren't good for us. We don't do things that aren't suited to our best and highest needs. We have better lives, better purpose, clarity, focus. So, yes, this is why you should talk to yourself. This is why you should talk to yourself. Because it makes you a better person. It makes you a much better person. And ideally, your life will be way better. Yeah, I think I've already said, and you'll have better relationships and a whole bunch of other stuff. That's enough. I could say a whole lot more, but I won't. Hakuna Matata. Signing off.